Well, thank you, Martin, for this brief introduction of MHS, so I don't have to do it anymore. Very nice. My name is Pieke Molenaar. I work at Wageningen Marine Research in the Netherlands, mainly involved in gear technology, but also discard survival. And with discard survival, as Mike explained, sometimes you get into welfare as well. So, we tried this MHS system in one of the Dutch fisheries, and I can say this might be the most invasive fishery you can have. It's a tickler chain beam trawl fishery. It's targeting two types of flatfish. They're hiding in the sediment, and you need some tickler chains to scare them out of the sediment and actually catch them. But with using tickler chains, you catch all other fish, so it's a mixed fishery. But the main target species are those two. The top one is the most valuable one, the sole. And with sole, you need a small mesh ice to actually catch them. And with the small mesh ice, you may have high bycatch of other species, especially undersized plays. Um, so where are we operating? We're right there. Here you have a nice picture of Europe, red in the Netherlands, and then we have a sea base in the North Sea where we operate. It's a very shallow sea, usually 24 meters. And well, we target flatfish. So this is a typical beam trawl. You see it's 12-meter wide, and this time a wing-shaped beam, tickler chains, and it's operated at 7 knots, so it's a very high-speed trawl. Typical catches, as you can see, it's very mixed. A lot of undersized fish, some marketable soles, some plays, but also high numbers of undersized plays. So we're looking into those undersized plays if you return them to see what is actually their survival. Recently we did it also for tickler chain beam trawl, and as you can see the blue line, it presents the number or the representative survival. It starts at 100 at the beginning, and then at the bottom you see the number of days after capture. So 95% of those fish you return to the sea is still alive at the moment they are thrown overboard. Within the next 15 days, especially in the first 5 days, most of them die. So the final survival after 15 days of those undersized plays was only 8%. And that's not very high. And we're like, what is causing this mortality? So then we looked into, well, what is actually the condition of those undersized plays? Well, we classified it in numbers, as you can see, A to D. A is a very good quality fish. Well, mucus layer intact, no scale loss, no damaged fins, no major bleedings, no bruises. And then you go down to class D. And D, that fish is, well, you can maybe say it's driven over by a truck. It doesn't look very good. It's going to die very soon. And if you then classify those classes A to D into survival, and that's the picture with the lines on your left, you see the top line is the class A survival. So that's about 60%. So good fish in a good condition, 60% can survive. Maybe a bit more, but those fish have been caught by a troll, what can have some influence. Other things you see straight away, class B, that's minor damage. Well, the survival drops quite a bit, but if they are in the bad classes, so C and D, they all die. And then there I present the number of fish for each condition class. And as you can see, of the good condition class, what you actually want to have if you want to have discard survival, there's only 7% in this fishery. So that's not a lot. So what can we learn from this survival of those different classes? Well, if you improve the condition of those fish at the moment they come on board, you might have higher discard survival and improved welfare. And this improved welfare may come from what's happening in the trawl. But coming back to this MHS, can we use this system to improve discard survival and catch welfare in the Dutch beam trawl fishery? Well, I saw a first presentation in New Zealand. I thought, that might be interesting. So I thought we were talking about 3 years, got the design specialized for sole fisheries. It was made in New Zealand, sent over, and last year in July we received a package with an MHS for a sole beam trawl. We did 2 weeks of trials on a small commercial trawler, and beginning of this year we did the first trial on a large beam trawler, in May a second one, and in July we did another 2 weeks. So what does it look like? Well, this is a small beam trawler. Here you see a chain mat tickler beam trawl, 4.5 meters, small one, and we attached the MHS to it. This year we started on the big beam trawler, and with a normal tickler chain beam trawl, as you can see, the tickler chains, and it's a 12-meter wide beam, and the MHS is exactly right there. Then coming back to, well, those condition of those fish. So why are those fish in such a bad conditions after only 2 hour trawling in this trawl? Well, I had a look into the trawl with some video, and we're looking, so we're ahead of the cod end and we're looking into the cod end. So you see all catch collected, and as it is a very sediment disturbing fishery, it's very hard to get images, but we have some here. And here you see what's happening with the catch of a beam trawl. So it's more or less a whirlpool of fish, benthic animals, and they are touching the netting for 2 hours. And if they come out, they're not in a good shape. So if we use this MHS, and I managed to get some footage of those, the same fishery, same speed, but then in an MHS trawl, and then it looks slightly different. So you have all those flatfish in this stationary water mass, well, waiting to be lifted on board in their lift back aquarium. So what does it look like if you haul it on board? Well, this is the big beam trawler. They're hauling both trawls. On one side you have the MHS, on the other side you have the conventional trawl. I speeded up the movie a little bit, not to wait for 2 minutes until everything is done. So it might look a bit rough. It's a bit rough, but it goes a bit more smooth at the moment you're on board. Here you see the lift back full of water coming. It hits the rope, and then, well, you can open it and you release the fish into the hopper. This process we have improved in the last few experimental trips to get even a more gentle release into the hopper, and it worked out. So in terms of, well, you saw we did one side an MHS, the other side a conventional mesh trawl, and so we compared for hole by hole the marketable catch of both, of a normal one and an MHS, the selectivity, the undersized fish condition, and the discard survival, all of them. Well, I'm going to show you a picture. I don't have time to give you everything, I just give you a quick overview. And the marketable catch, here you have a catch of an MHS catch of a beam trawl, and you can see the red mullet there. Normally they don't have any scales if they come on board, but now, well, say wow. And we have some nice whitefish and some fish with minor damage, but that is fish that try to escape through the specialized flatfish holes. And well, then we go to the most valuable fish, what's in this fishery, the sole. You can see on the left the MHS fish, but still has all the scales, a mucus layer, nice white from the underside, good quality, and on the other side, from the same hole, fish from the regular cod end, you see a major scale loss, a lot of bleedings, and they don't look very good. Same story for red mullet. You can even see the color difference here. On the left, the scales are wear on at the moment they came on board, but in the catch processing they lost some scales. But the other ones, they lack any scales, the skin is even abrased and they lose even color. So what did we do with the undersized one? Here an example, we collected them right before we discarded the undersized, and we assessed them for their condition. So we assessed some reflexes, whether they turn around or they swim away. And this gave an impression, in what kind of state are those fish at the moment that are discarded to the sea. So length measurements, looked at their damage, and then, well, you see we did a quite an assessment. And just to give you an impression close by, on the left you see fish from a normal beam trawl fishery, same hole, and on the right you see the MHS undersized place. You see the mucus layer still intact, no scale loss. But if you go then to the condition of those undersized plays, to the left we have the damage scores. So the light bars are several damage scores for the conventional mesh trawl, and the dark bars are damage scores for the MHS trawl. You see a significant reduction of head bruises, body bruises, scale loss. So there were severely less damage. Well, you can see it on the picture, but here we classified it. On the other hand, we did the reflexes, so whether they still turn around, yes or no, and this shows the reflex impairment. So if it's a high bar, it's very good because there's not much reflex impairment, so they show 100% that they turn around or not. And here, and again here you see a significant better reflex score for the MHS cod end. So those fish, we can say, they are way less exhausted, and they may have experienced a better welfare in the trawl by this gentle environment. Well, then we did some discard survival experiments. We did it actually, the last trip, we did it in July this year. and the moment the most worst conditions for place survival. Place like cold water, and we did it when the North Sea water temperature was as high as I have never seen. So it was bad conditions. But overall, the survival in the conventional cod that week was 4% survival, so nearly all fish died. And in the MHS cod, as you can see in the red line, ended up at 30%, but you see a clear, distinct difference between the survival from the green conventional cod and the red MHS cod. But doing these experiments, I really realized something else. As soon as those fish come on board, they look excellent. And then they go through the catch processing of the vessel. So you start with a drop in the hopper, then they go to a collection pit, then they go over a metal conveyor belt, then they drop 1 meter, then they're sorted by the crew, and then I collect some fish for my discard survival experiments. And the difference between the moment they came on board and where I collected them was quite a bit. So maybe we have to improve also the catch processing on board to have and better quality and better survival. Another thing what I really would like to do is do the same experiment in winter, and then we may see a very major difference in the discard survival, as it is better as well for the conventional one, but maybe for the MHS way more. Then the major question from fishermen: what is the catch composition? Does it catch more or less? Well, we started off with in the first trial, so the marketable sole catch was reduced. Then the second trial was a bit better, 20% less. Third trial, we were like, well, still 10% less. The fourth trial, we were equal to the normal cod. And the last trial, we got everything right in place, and we had a 40% increase of the sole landings in this MHS trial. Also, it has something to do with we optimized the opening size to actually the shape of undersized sole, where the other one is not very optimized. And we didn't find any difference in marketable species for the others. I did some small assessment of the amount of discards in this MHS cod, and it reduced the amount of discards by 15%, mainly brittle stars and swimming crabs. But there was a small increase, or there was an increase of undersized sole. Apparently, they were able to escape from all the escape openings, but maybe the environment was too nice for them to look for an escape. So they just stay in there. Oh, it's nice, relaxed. There's a little layer of sand. They can hide here and I stay here. But I don't want to have them in there. So the conclusion is, in the beam trawl fishery in the North Sea, yes, this system can improve fish condition. Yes, it leads to a higher discard survival. It promotes also catch quality if you land them. And it benefits perhaps catch welfare during the trawling and during hauling. And well, what I see as possible future developments for this system, well, improve the catch processing if you use this system. And another one, try this MHS system also on different fishing grounds. We have mainly fished now on the hard sandy sediments. Maybe you have to try some very stony sediments as well to see whether it's resistant enough to also have stones in the catch. Another very important thing, this concept is not legal to use in European fisheries, so you have to include it in the European technical measures for fisheries. It's quite a process to get it there. And well, now we looked only in discard survival, but you can use also this concept to improve selectivity. So if you have a lower flow in this trawl, fish can actually express their normal behavior and look for an entrance, where normally in this fishery with 7 knots, those fish are hit by a tickler chain. Within 2 seconds they're in the cod end and there's no way they can move. So if you remove the flow, they might look for an escape somewhere on the way. And maybe test this concept in different fisheries, but that's why Martin is having his Europe tour. Well, so far, maybe we have some space for questions, or we just continue. I'll let it to Michel. Thank you.